So the Hangout on Air is activated. The Hangout is here. So well done, Mariska. Can you relay in the box, the chat box, who can help, who can hear me? Mariska, can you hear me? Frederick, can you hear me? Sylvia, can you hear me? So all those. So anyone can hear me? Anyone? No one seems to be able to hear me. So that's a problem. Can anyone hear me, please? Okay, this is weird. I'll still talk for a while, and just please say when you hear, when you can actually hear something. Um, um, okay, and we did lose some people. I don't know where Claire is, and okay, Claire, thanks for the information. Can you also go onto the link you're telling everyone to follow? Can you also go onto Massive Teaching, the Massive Teaching link here? Oops, oops, wrong paste. So Claire, can you follow the link, please, and join us? Fire Fem, I assume. Enter it in the mopad. So so Frederick, Sylvia, can you hear me? You just hear the. Okay. uh, thing. Uh, so who can hear me can see me. Claire has said she could. I'm still missing Frederick and Mariska and Sylvia. Can you see me? Okay, so Mariska can hear me. Frederick still can't hear. Um, I'll get started, and Frederick, please make to hear. Frederick and Sylvia, uh, you need to hear this. So the Hangout, you have to follow still this link and press, and then okay. So Frederick can hear me and see me. But I would like you to use all Mopad to communicate in writing with me. Do not use the Google Hangout chat. Use the Mopad instead, because the Mopad can be replayed then for other students, and there are a few features that are desirable. All right. So please use the Mopad to communicate between you. Um, we're still missing Matteo, who somehow didn't make the transition and got lost. That's really too bad. But I think we can start. Sylvia is still not there. So in the end, you're just three students listening to me at the moment: Claire, Frederick, and Mariska. Okay, so let's go talk about the agenda first. So on the left, you can see a prototype of an agenda, and it's going to need to be expanded. So the first thing is explain the mechanics of this meeting. So the way I would like to run this meeting, and all those things. The second is to ask for generic questions you might have with the course and answer them. And the third part is really the focus. It's with the gamification and the next steps there. So first, so everyone okay with this? The first step, the mechanics of the meeting. Okay, Sylvia, great, you're here. So the mechanics of this meeting, so I've put you all on Mopad. The reason I've put you all on Mopad and spent quite a bit of time of doing this is because I think it's quite superior to other options for conducting meetings like this. Maybe a regular Google Hangout would be better than Hangout on Air. I don't know. I don't have really an opinion. Maybe just the sound is enough. But well, I think the Mopad is good because you can save things. on the top right, and you can replay and etc. etc. So for instance, now I just made a snapshot, and others can get back exactly to this snapshot later when they watch the Hangout again and at the same time look at the mopad. All right, I can also refer to specific line numbers, for instance, and that makes it a lot easier. The Okay, so you should remind me once in a while to take a snapshot, or you should take it yourself and advertise that you have taken it, so others who watch the Hangout later can be really helped by this. All right, at any point you can ask questions at the bottom right, and I'll see those questions and I'll respond. And later on, yes, we can share all this interaction we had with the others, and we can make that more fruitful. So Claire is asking if maybe Google Hangout might work better some other time. I'm open to trying it out again, or trying out something new, like Google Hangout. It might be better, yes. Google Hangout is more free-flowing, and I think in this way I can be more directive. So early in the course, I wanted to be more directive with those, just to make sure we were moving forward, especially with the gamification experiment, which is quite important to the course, because that's what will really make it work or not, and will motivate the students. It is indeed nice to see each other's face, Claire, but I just explained, it is very nice, and I'm looking forward to seeing your face. But this is, I really wanted to still have a little bit of the upper hand in this case, and still lead a little bit the discussion for now. I would love for you, for instance, to be able to lead a discussion in the next weeks and next office hours, not for me to do it, because I think that's also an important skill to run a MOOC. Okay, and this is still small scale, but I didn't quite know what size to expect, and Google Hangout can be really crazy when there are more than, well, 5 people, or people start coughing and all those things. Okay, any question? I think I've explained the mechanics of this meeting. Maybe there's still questions about that. Claire agrees with what I just said. Thanks. No more questions about this? All right, so I will switch to the next agenda point, which is to ask for generic questions from you. But before I do that, I will save now another revision. So this revision is revision number 2, and this is basically telling useful information for students who watch the replay later. Okay, so we are now at agenda point number 2. On line 11. All right. So ask for questions. So does any one of you have a generic question about the course that doesn't touch on gamification? I would be happy to answer it. Of course, Frederick. I don't know if that's a question. Frederick, you're right. We can make a Google Hangout on our initiative. Of course you can, and you should if you think there is a need for it, or if a smaller group can meet, if you can arrange it. Yeah, of course, absolutely. And I would love to attend if you invite me to it. That would be absolutely great. I don't know if there was a question or not, but I'm just treating as a question. Okay, so any question about any more comments or questions about all this? So Clara has a question. She's asking, she's having trouble with my agenda. Where is it? And Clara, the agenda is written on line 8. There is agenda today. Okay, and now you see it. Okay, great. All of you, you can, if you feel like taking notes, you can take notes. And Mariska, yes, so I'm just answering that question. No, actually. Do we do some tasks? Yes, you can. If you want to take notes of what is happening, you can you can write it on the below line 14, where you can write whatever your notes. So here is a space on line 16 for your note. Okay, so you guys are sorting out how to do a Google Hangout, if there should be a Google Hangout and so on. Maybe we delay that discussion to a bit later, and we focus now on big questions for the course. All right, so I must admit I'm a bit behind in wait, there's someone on the phone. Okay, so TBX connected to the chat room, and Matteo Coursera as well. So Claire, remember, you are supposed to monitor the IRC if you can, to try to bring people back to the mopad, etc. So okay, so who is Tyson? Tyson is logged in. Is Tyson TBX? Tyson or TBX hear me? So Claire, please go on trying to contact TBX on the chat, and the others try to explain to Tyson what is going on. So Tyson needs to also go on the Hangout on Air, which is here, and the Hangout on Air basically, hopefully no one posts here. All right, so sorry about that. Realize I'm spending quite a bit of time dealing with. Thanks, Claire. I spend quite a bit of time dealing with technology, but I'm hoping that 4 or 5 people, so the number here, would learn how to use it so they can help me in the next Google Hangouts that we do using Mopad. And I think choosing the right technology is very important in a MOOC. And I think this is the right technology and the one I want to use. I should have done a training video for it first, but I didn't have time for that. So sorry, I'm wasting a bit of your time with all this. Now, let's go on to the next point, which is gamification. So gamification, what are the next steps? A lot of you, I guess, or a few of you are attending this specifically for that problem of the next steps. So I want to ask you to, or ask whoever wants to step up to well, to summarize what your impression is of the situation. Okay, so who would like to start? So Claire, Frederick, Mariska, Sylvia, or Tyson, anyone wants to summarize where we are at now with the gamification? Any questions you might have? Anything like that? Okay, so to start with telling what you understand of the situation now with the gamification experiment, Mariska. So you can write it down there, and I can then explain my impression of what you're saying and ask others if this. Okay, Sylvia is not sure what gamification is. Claire is not sure what gamification is. Sylvia asks me to explain what it is, and Claire asks me how to use it. All right, so I use the word gamification in the experiment. So first, let me start again. There is an experiment going on in the course that has to do with gamification and personalized degree. So using the word gamification has led to some confusion on the forum. So maybe it wasn't a wise choice, but I would like to emphasize more the side of personalized degree. My assessment of the situation is that Coursera only allows me to offer what I would call a dump certificate to the students. So Frederick, your definition is not quite right according to me, and I don't actually know a formal definition, but it's not that important actually. So let me get back on track. The Coursera only allows me to give certificates, one certificate for everyone. So it dumbs down all of your learning that you're doing, all of the complexity of the learning that you are all doing, to just 1 mark out of 100. I don't like that. I would like to be able to offer to each of you a certificate or a bunch of certificates or badges or a bunch of badges that reflect much more closely what your experience is of the course and what you actually learned in this course. All right, so this means that some of you will watch all the videos only. Some of the students will only watch all of the videos. I don't really want to say that those have completed the course, because they would have missed a lot of different things. But I do want to say that they have watched all the videos. Some of you will read a lot and will do some assignments related to what the links that I've posted. I want to not say you have passed the course, but say you have actually read a lot and contributed interesting thoughts on this. And I want to certify that. Also, a lot of you will post on the forums and will post very useful information on the forums. And I want to encourage that, and I want to certify that. I want to be able to say at the end that Tyson, for instance, was posting was staying very quiet, but once in a while Tyson would speak up and say something really smart, and that was very insightful. So Tyson was a specialist at posting insightful information. Claire, on the other hand, was a specialist at asking deep questions that led to much further evolution of the course, led to very interesting developments in the course. Mariska, on the other hand, was very good at clearing confusion among the different issues. And Sylvia was very good at connecting different ideas together, while Frederick was really good at motivating others. All right, all those things. So I want to be able to validate all of this different learning that you're doing, all those different contributions that you're doing. And Claire is asking if gamification is not online games. I'll get to that, and if I forget to get to that, ask me again. So I want to be able to say at the end that some of you have contributed very deeply to the forums. So you are among the top posters on the forum, in particular with posts that are insightful or useful or all those information. So in some ways, you guys as students want to accumulate points. And in general, that can be very motivating. If you know that you have 10,000 points, that can be very motivating. If you know that you have 11,000 points, that can be very motivating as well. And you might want to reach 11,000 if you only have 10,000. What can get even more motivating is if you have different levels. So you have bronze level in terms of motivating others, but you can then switch to silver level in terms of motivating others. Okay, so, and this starts touching, Claire, to answer your question, onto games and gamification. All right, so this whole idea of motivating people with sort of games and points and all those things, that's gamification, and I want to partly use gamification in the context of the course to help improve the course. So Mariska is posting, the definition is the application of typical elements of game playing, for instance, point scoring, competition with others, rule of plays, to other areas of activity, typically as an online marketing technique to encourage engagement with a product or service. So maybe you use that definition and replace the typically by saying here, as a teaching technique to encourage engagement with a course and amelioration to the course itself for the others. Okay, so this is the experiment. The experiment is to yes, thank you, Mariska. Claire is saying thank you, Mariska. Yes, thank you for that. So the experiment is to try to do this. Now, I could have designed the whole experiment myself from the start. Yes, Mariska, that's true. I could have decided on the whole experiment from the start myself. I could have set it up all by myself at the start and told you from the start of the course, this is how we are going to do it. This is how you are going to score points, and this is how you will get this personalized degree. But I didn't think I thought that would be a lot of work to anticipate all the different degrees that you guys might want, and it wouldn't have made the experiment as interesting as it could be. Part of the interest of this experiment is to actually let you decide what the best way to do things. What is the best way to do things to motivate others? All right. So hi Tyson. So Frederick is asking, how do we gamify collaboration? And that's part of the questions to ask. How do we gamify people working together and getting somewhere positive? And thanks, Claire, for helping Tyson get up to speed. So this is well, what is happening in this very long thread where Maria Soledad Bernardi is having a very big impact and is really trying to push this experiment forward, and I thank her again for that. Now I see that Claire has started taking notes, and that's great actually. So if Mariska or someone else could cut and paste the definition that was pasted in the chat into the box on the left, that would be great. And even more great would be if you edit this definition to match the use we want to make of this in the course. Okay, so you can cut and paste, copy paste from the right, from the chat window to the left in the notes at the bottom left. Okay, Claire seems to, so right. So this is an interesting question. Frederick just pasted that on the left. Yes, this is an interesting question to address, and those are your notes for later to look back at and to share back from this meeting with the other students. Okay, so any questions at this point? Any questions? Right, so I see that Mariska has managed to cut and paste. Gamification, great. And I let you play a little bit with this. So on line 23, you see gamification. And maybe you can start editing a bit all this to match more or understanding in this course of gamification. So change the application from online marketing to maybe teaching. Claire is asking if we're reading Maria's discussion. So it's not just Maria's discussion. Many people are involved. Maria is leading it. I don't think you guys should read it at the moment. I'll give an assessment of what's going on, and then later on you can read it if you would like to help with that experiment. Okay, Claire? I think Maria's input is very valid, and others as well. But I would like this moment here with the office hours to be really about setting the next steps. Okay, so Nadira is on the IRC chat. And on board here. Frederick is contributing is trying to answer his own question of how do we gamify collaboration by giving points to useful comments, and that's a very valid way to gamify collaboration. There are other very valid ways. That is just one aspect of gaining points. There are others, and Maria has started to address these questions in that big thread that I should post on the left as well, right? So and right, so Frederick adds on the line 26 by giving credit to helpful community members. That's very correct. So Nadira has switched to and Claire, thank you for taking care of Nadira. All right, so students are writing notes. That's great. Frederick is still busy writing down ideas on how to gamify collaboration. Nadira has made progress on choosing a color, etc., on typing the name at the top right. So right, so Frederick, how do we gamify collaboration? Great ideas by giving badges honoring specific behavior. This is all great. And again, one important aspect is that the goal is not to gamify the whole course, but is not for the goal is to personalize the degree, and I personalize the degree by handing out badges, and some of those badges have a gamification element to them, right? Not all of the badges in the course will have a gamification element to them. If this is clear, some of the badges will be honoring specific behavior, as you say, that is very high level and doesn't really correspond to a game. Mariska is asking how you can give credit to helpful community members. Well, there's many ways to be useful. Maybe someone should take notes on this. What are the ways to be helpful in a community, right? So this is Mariska's question. Very good question to ask, actually. So maybe someone can take notes on line 34. Well, what do you think are good ways to be helpful in a community online? Anyone has ideas? Claire, Mariska, Nadira, Sylvia, or Tyson? Because Frederick is busy writing. You can start typing on line 34 now. What do you think are ways to be helpful in a community? No one has an idea? So let me start. Answering someone's question. Okay, someone was, I think Tyson was starting to type exactly the same thing. So answering someone. And Tyson has another idea, reformatting answers. Can you try explaining a bit more? I'm not quite sure I understand, Tyson. So lots of students are typing. I'm waiting to see what uh, what you guys are coming up with. Great input so far. So clarification. Okay, now I understand, Tyson, what you mean. Yes, indeed. Just reformulating, simplifying answers from others. Yes, this is great. This is definitely some way to be useful to others. Um, uh, Frederick is writing. Some can help with translation of terms to different languages. Yes, so there are ways to be helpful in a community, especially in an online forum, in a course like this, where the language is actually set. You know, the main language is English in my course. Well, in a way to be helpful with translation is to help someone else understand if the base of what is being said is not understood because of a language issue. All right. So in some ways, it's also Tyson's answer of clarification. It touches on that. So yes, Tyson, collating answers from the forum is a very valid way of doing something. Right. Nadira is joining us on the Hangout. Great. Um, Summing up a discussion to help newcomers. That's definitely very helpful. Like what Claire is doing right now, helping Nadira find the Hangout is very, very helpful because it means I can focus on teaching the main part. All right. Um, the first answer, Claire, communication very well with messages to be clear about what we need, perhaps even using a glance. Okay, I think this is a bit disjointed. I'm a bit lost. Okay, Nodara just uh, just joined us. Great. So let me just check. Yes, great. And Claire, you're becoming expert at getting people into this. Um, okay, so this is starting to go in a bit of all directions, right? What are the ways to be helpful in a community? That's great. So one way you guys could be helpful at this stage is in summarizing the discussion between lines 37 and 47, right? All the different ways to be helpful in a community by summarizing this into a neat list that doesn't overlap, and others who join at the last minute can make sense of. You know, the newcomers uh, can understand this better. So basically, I'm saying a good way to be helpful at this stage within this discussion right now, within those office hours, is to sum up the discussion we're having to help newcomers. Right, and Sylvia uh, says there are very useful ideas for people like her who have difficulties in understanding. So Sylvia is saying that yes, indeed, this is very helpful for people like her, and reinforcing the fact that in the community there are people who, well, everyone at some point has trouble understanding what's going on, especially with very forms that can be very confusing sometimes. All right, so those are all great ideas. Um, uh, so Frederick says that Claire gets an angel badge from me. Well, that is great, Frederick, and that's exactly what I want. One of the things I want to happen at the end of the course is that you as an individual are able to say that Claire should get a badge herself for helping others. Okay, so that's the kind of things I would like to happen in the course. Yes, Sylvia, that would be very helpful for people who have little time to follow the forum. And I think the reality is that we all have little time to follow the forums when the forums involve so many people. Okay, and we all need to put effort into summarizing the forums for each other. That needs to happen so that we can actually make progress, make good progress, and all together, right? And for this to happen, we need to motivate people to do that, and that's not easy. All right, and Claire now is reacting by saying, "Oh, thank you so much." Indeed, when you get a badge, like an angel badge from Frederick, it makes a big difference. And Claire feels rewarded in her efforts because Frederick appreciates it. So I think you guys all see where this is going, right? We want to offer badges and offer ways to validate these efforts to help a better community grow out of this whole thing and to help further the learning. I am I don't mean to say that your badge at the end of the course will be for just helping one person very punctually. It will be for helping several people for a long time, and the badge you will get will reflect only that aspect. So it will not say you passed the course just because you helped others a lot by translating one word here and there, but it will reward that specific aspect. And at the same time, yes, you will be able to get more overall badges that cover your whole learning. Okay, Claire is saying, I'm trying the best I can. My house is 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, I feel bad for you. It's 90 degrees. It's pretty warm, but here it's pretty cold. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to have a badge for trying the best you can when it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit. but certainly for making a lot of effort like you have been doing, Claire, that's definitely something good. All right, so we missed someone on the IRC chat who joined and then left. Too bad. Okay, so the next concrete steps. Okay, before I get to the next concrete steps, I need to explain it. I need to change a little bit the agenda and the next concrete steps. And I will again save a revision for people who watch later. So we're about to start the explanation of the plan, and I save the revision now. So Claire is also again making comments about the weather. All right, so what is the plan now? The plan is for you guys to have lots of interactions on the forums, and to did we have someone just new to join? Matteo has just joined. Hey, welcome, Matteo. So hopefully we can get Matteo to enter on the chat and to contribute as well. Matteo has been very busy and discussing a lot with me. So, okay, I have to run to get a charger, but maybe you can think about it a little bit about everything I explained. It should take a minute. I'm back in a minute. So, I'm back. All right, so I'm now switching to the explanation of the plan. What I'm trying to do is quite hard. The reason it's quite hard, it's because it's using technology that is limited in some ways and that I cannot modify. So I'm trying to exploit the technology to actually hack it around, so use it in ways that it wasn't originally intended to be able to do all the plan I have in mind. So that means that right, so Leo disappeared again. Okay, so Matteo disappeared and is back and okay, figuring out. So I'm trying to do something quite hard. I'm trying to use the technology for something that it wasn't quite originally intended for. And at the same time, Coursera itself is not putting every effort into helping me achieve that, let's say. So I'm tiptoeing around different things. And, well, I will progressively be releasing more experiments that will help collect more data that can then be used to reward different aspects of of this what makes people helpful in a community. So Matteo is on mobile, and it makes it very hard. Mariska is almost asleep because it's 2 a.m. there, and she goes to sleep. And I hope she can catch up later. Okay, so in that sense, I'm tiptoeing around technology. I don't want you guys to be too involved in the technology, but what I want you to do at this stage is to come up with ways to gamify this collaboration and to help validate all the learning that can happen in the course. So this means exactly the kind of discussion that you have been having in this between line 36 and 51, right? And for each of those different ways to, well, create a badge that's associated to that and some threshold where you reach that badge. And possibly, if you cannot define a way to reach that threshold, then you can relay that information back to me, and I'll find a way to exploit the technology again to extract that information. That's the first step. And in parallel in my plan is the implementation of these hacks around the technology once we have all collected the data we need to actually deliver the certificates to the students who deserve it. Okay? So I don't know how many of you are still following. Any of you have questions on this plan? Doesn't look like you guys have a plan, have questions regarding the plan. Okay, so in summary, if I want to summarize the plan is for you to be creative and me to figure out ways to implement that creativity that you might have. Transversal to the courses or to this course? I'm not quite sure I understand Matteo's question, but yes, Claire, Matteo has a question. The badge system so there is a system called Mozilla Open Badges that exists independently of Coursera. It exists, it's open source, etc. You don't need to worry about that, but it exists and it covers many different platforms. You can go on several platforms and get badges, and those badges you own yourself. They are yours. You can show them to employers. You can try to well, you can just show it to the employers. It's not clear that the employers would accept it, just like it's not clear they would accept a Coursera certificate. But you can at least own it, decide which to show, etc. And it's more granular than a whole Coursera certificate. So you can reward smaller steps than just completing a whole course. And you can reward specific behaviors that do not correspond to precisely the whole course itself. So Frederick is asking the very good question, shall we design a badge? Matteo says, it will be confined to one course or cumulative among courses. So let me answer one question at a time. Frederick is asking, should we design a badge relevant to a task? What I would like you to do, actually, altogether, is to design several badges relevant, well, is to several times design one badge relevant to a specific task. Okay, so find a list of tasks, for instance, collating forums information, or posting insightful comments, or answering another person's questions, right? And design a badge associated to that particular task. Okay, so in the end, as a group, we would design maybe 20 badges, something like that. That would be a goal. Maybe we designed 5, and that's good enough. But at the same time, also design a way for this badge to be obtained, and also design a way for this badge, the obtention of this badge to be integrated in the learning, and also a way to collect data so we know who to award it to. Okay, so there are several steps there that need to be covered, but you don't need to cover all the steps. You can contribute where you think you can contribute, and we can figure out organically what needs to be done and where to get from there. So Matteo is asking if it will be confined to one course or cumulative among courses. And is sorry, there's a huge delay after he writes. So Matteo, it will be confined to my course at the moment, but I have further goals of accumulating this among several different courses. And also, I understand that a lot of you guys are aiming for a Coursera badge, a Coursera certificate, and the Coursera certificate, the best I can offer at the moment, or the best I feel comfortable offering, is that the certificate would say that you have obtained badges in this course. Okay, Matteo, that was a good question. I'm not sure I have answered. Claire needs to take a 5 or 7 minute breaks. Maybe someone should take notes, she's asking. So I think Claire has been working hard. We could do that for her. So maybe someone takes notes, or I will take notes, or you can help me. So notes of this discussion. And Claire, your break better not be for 6 minutes. It's only 5 or 7. Okay, so I had said that the plan, Matteo, I'm not quite sure I understand perspectives. What you mean by perspectives. So maybe just type one word, because I know you have difficulty typing, but maybe, yeah. Or I go on. So the plan was for some to be most likely me to make it happen. So the plan is for most of you to be creative, and others here, and to make it happen by actually looking at the database, looking who should get the degree, the badges that you guys have created. All right. So, what are the next concrete steps? Or maybe there are questions still. Any questions? So if not, then I'm saving this when we're switching to point 5, the next concrete steps. So I'm still not quite sure, unfortunately, Matteo, what you mean. Plans for the future. Well, plans for the future and perspectives I understand, but not how they are important. And we've just lost Matteo, I think. Yeah. Okay, so the next concrete steps. Okay, so the next concrete steps, and Matteo is back, is to organize all this creative process. So instead of posting things in a forum where it will get lost, I would like us to start working together on a joint document that we can edit on. So a smaller group of you, not the whole class, should edit together a document okay, Nadira has a question. Where can we see ready-made badges for Coursera? I don't think you can see ready-made badges for Coursera. That's a good question. I don't know where you can see badges made for Coursera. I've only taken so many classes on Coursera, I don't know. But if you take the sum of all the students in this course, the number of classes taken, it's huge. So some of you in the course might know where there are badges on Coursera, and as a consequence, I would advise Nadira to ask this question on the discussion forums at the end of those office hours to ask others. Maybe they've seen badges on Coursera, and maybe they can answer that question, Nadira. Frederick is just letting it sink in, looking at Mozilla Open Badges, and that's a great idea, Frederick. And maybe you can also post a link in the notes to Mozilla Open Badges. And Matteo, smaller than we are here, I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean. You have to write a few more words than that. Okay, so we were at the next concrete steps. So the next concrete steps, where I would like to be in a few days, is to have a list of behaviors that will be rewarded. Okay, a list of behaviors of the students that will be rewarded. That would be a column. So in one column you would have a list of behaviors like answering each other's questions, and then right, with Tyson you can paste this in the notes. And the next column would be, so that's like the generic behavior that would need to be rewarded. That would be the first column. The second column would be more adapted to this course and more concrete. So how can you get a badge certifying this information? Okay, so what does it mean to help others? And maybe we have to decide. This is going to mean posting 5 times something helpful, and at the same time, just posting 5 times something helpful is not really is very hard to assess. It's very hard to automatically decide whether something was helpful or not. So we'll have to find a way to extract that information and integrate that to the learning. And sometimes it might be possible, sometimes it might not be. And that will have to be a discussion that we have. And maybe we need to dumb down the goals that we have to match it to the data we can extract. Okay, so I don't know if this makes sense, and maybe I should take notes for Claire, who is gone. So it's build a table. So Matteo says, I've never encountered any badge except on gamification course, but wasn't done for Coursera for, okay. So on the course gamification course, they didn't talk about badges apparently. Okay, that's fine, Matteo, and that's part of the learning that will happen in this project, is that you can see where the badges are helpful. I know Matteo is very much Coursera, has taken many Coursera courses. So if he says he has never seen it on a Coursera course, that's a bad sign for it existing on any Coursera course. And but I can guarantee that it exists in other courses, in other online courses. So I think the main example would be yes, p2pu.org, which is another MOOC platform, is offering badges as well. Okay, so so do the badges have a score? That's a good question as well. Do the badges have a score? Badges can come in different levels if you want, Tyson. So you can have badges at the silver level, at the bronze level, at the gold level, which shows different achievements if you want, different levels of achievement. So Tyson says, if I have a helpful badge, do I get 65 out of 100? I'm more thinking, if you have enough badges, you get a certificate at the end that says you get a certificate at the end that says that you have collected this many badges, and then it's up to you to show them and to show which. Okay, so the certificate at the end would say, I've collected this many badges. And Frederick is saying FutureLearn has it and not very good though. Frederick, would you care to say what was not very good about the FutureLearn badge? So while Frederick is thinking about this, this is good because we have at least two examples of platforms, P2PU and FutureLearn, and there are others, I guarantee it, that offer badges. And I would really like if my course offered badges as well, because it means that your achievements, if you want, do not depend on Coursera. It depends on another entity that is decentralized and as such more robust. It also allows you to combine different badges, some badges from FutureLearn and P2PU, also with badges you have earned on Coursera. So you make your certificates, your degree, more portable, if that makes sense. And you can start having incentives for professors to unify the badging they do across different platforms, and also unify the tools that are used to process the badges that you have. So if, for instance, I'm looking for someone who has a gamification qualification, I might want to look at, I don't care if you followed the course on Coursera or iVersity, I just care that you have this qualification. I do care afterwards at how good the badge, or how good the course was, or things like that. But as a first step, I want to process the fact that you have taken a MOOC on gamification, regardless of the origin of that MOOC. Okay, Frederick says it was not connected to what he wanted to learn, and it seemed a bit random to get them. So Frederick, that's very good input here. Yes, you can of course misuse badges. That is for sure a possibility. That is for sure a possibility, and this is a trap to avoid. But you can also use it use it in a good way, and that's what I would like to try to do. And Frederick says maybe make an open invitation on the forum. So I assume you mean an open invitation uh, to the table I'm referring to, or to this document. And yes, this is a good idea, Frederick. I encourage you to do that, to think carefully first, and then to do something like that, an open invitation to the forum I'm talking about in the next concrete steps. So in the next concrete steps, to repeat, there would be, Matteo first made a lot of effort to type a long message. So this message is the culture of variability were considered, I don't know in the US, but in many places they may be considered silly for higher education. Very, very, very good point, Matteo. They may be considered silly for higher education, but you're right. They may be considered silly, but they might not be actually. It might be that Coursera certificates are in some ways more silly, and that is actually my opinion. That in the future, Coursera certificates will be more silly than you might think, and badges or some similar system may be considered less silly. I, as a university professor, see the value of badges above the value of Coursera certificates. It's a bit too early for me to explain why, but this is definitely part of the course, and this will definitely be explained in the third week of the course. Let me just Google something, or right. I need to look up my notes for preparing this course. So just I'm looking for one word to explain why I think that in the future this will not be so silly. These badges, right? So so this question actually, Matteo, thank you very much for asking it, because it is crucial to this issue. You're right, and by making the effort of typing it, you help me resolve, hopefully, part of that issue. So in the notes, I'll write it. So Matteo asks, I don't know in the US, but in many places, badges may be considered silly. I'm taking notes on the left, if you guys see. So Paul. There are and to document this, you wait for the third week. Now, personal knowledge and learner-owned, and you like to post. Okay, so if you want to anticipate this discussion, you please explore that ahead, and and otherwise just wait. And Frederick is asking another lovely question. So Frederick, should Sylvia, good night. So Frederick is asking, uh, should pupils give badges to teachers for answering questions clearly? I would love for this to happen, actually, because it will raise the quality level um, of the teaching. It's very likely to raise the quality level of teaching. It's very likely to uh, to contribute to good teaching. If you were able to say, this professor on Coursera teaches very badly, or this professor teaches very well, and you are able to recommend one specific course, or downgrade a specific course, or recommend the teacher individually or the course, and so on, then this would really drive people to make better effort in that direction. This would reward the good teacher. It would be more clear who the good teachers are if this power was in the hands of the students and not just in the hands of universities and things like that. It completely decentralizes the process and reverses the balance of power. So I think that would be a great thing to have. And it's likely to happen, actually, in the age of the internet, and so on. So Frederick, is it just teachers to pupils and pupils to pupils? Frederick, the answer is that it's completely decentralized. Anyone essentially can grant a badge to anyone else. The trick is to make them worthy of value. That's the main trick. If you decide tomorrow to grant a badge, I think you did already, to Claire, you awarded an angel badge to Claire. Well, this is something that Claire found useful, found good, but Claire cannot use this to go elsewhere and use for her benefit elsewhere. Now, if 5-10 students in this class actually award Claire a micro step towards getting the angel badge, then because I controlled a lot of the process, I can award the angel badge to Claire myself. Now, is this good? Is this bad? Well, I think it's better, sorry to say, Frederick, it's better than if you just award it yourself, because I can certify that 10 people have awarded the badge to Claire. And Claire can do whatever she wants with this. Okay, and I can say I'm an instructor, I've taught a course on massive teaching, and 5-10 students have found Claire an angel, and so she got the angel badge. Okay, so I hope to have answered your question. Tyson, a badge is only as silly as the person who gives it. Would you rather an Olympic medal or a trophy from the village fair? Well, that's exactly what I just said, and you said it better than me. So you deserve the clarification badge and the insightful badge from that. All right. So this is very good. Yes, you're right. A badge is only as silly as the person who gives it. And the question that you have to ask is, how silly is Paul as an instructor on Coursera? Paul coming from the University of Zurich. So Matteo, Coursera certificates are anyway supported by the name of institution recognized worldwide. In LinkedIn, I write very little Coursera and very big Wharton Business School. That's an interesting point. I've seen the opposite point made, actually, Matteo. On Twitter, a lot of students say, great course on Coursera on massive teaching. They don't say great course from the University of Zurich on massive teaching. Yet Coursera on the certificates puts University of Zurich. So it's a very interesting question, how to brand the tweets and how to brand the certificates. And those things are very different, and they lead to deep consequences. So if you remember, no, sorry, we haven't gone into this yet. In week 2, we will see issues of copyright and issues of academic publishing. And think back of what you just wrote and try to make the connection then. And in week 3, I'll actually make the connection for you with those issues. Claire, how you guys are so generous. Frederick, a comment is a badge, maybe to have a screen with 3 possibilities: positive, negative, and neutral. Okay. A comment is a badge. I'm not sure I understood. Claire agreed, but I'm not sure. Ah, okay. Now I understand with your explanation. Yes, by awarding the angel badge, by saying this is the angel badge, you have qualified exactly the type of help that that Claire provided to you. That is correct. That's a very valid point. Yes, yes, that is correct. Glad you point that out. So it's a way to yes hmm. I'm glad you said that. I'll think a bit about it because it helps me find new ways of implementing what I would like to implement. So thank you. But I'll have to think a bit more about this. Okay. Any other comments? Claire, I understand the different levels. Frederick, thank you. He's giving me a clarity badge because he's entering good when I read on the forms. Uh, okay, thank you. And if you had the option of not giving a badge to, well, if badges were recognized also for instructors, and I was getting lots of clarity badges or lots of involvement badges, and other instructors were not, then students later on, when they decide which course to take on Coursera, on edX, or wherever, they could look at a detailed review of that instructor and decide whether they want to follow the course or not based on the previous achievements of that teacher. Don't know if that makes sense. They could match the course they want to take to the actual pattern that this instructor is following in their courses. Tyson, often when I'm talking about a course, I will talk about Coursera and the teacher. For me, I would say first machine learning, then Andrew Ng, then maybe Stanford. Well, that's your choice, and I think it really depends on the course, depends on the person, depends on the institution, and it is in some ways a struggle of power between different institutions, between the professor, between the school, and between the platform itself. And that is maybe the main reason I'm offering this course, is that there is this struggle, and if you want, I'm fighting for the professor here. I'm not fighting for Coursera. I'm not fighting for my institution. I'm fighting to make sure that the professor have a space in this fight. Claire, yes, Paul is a very good leader of our group. I've not had the great quality time with professors in MOOCs I've taken. Well, I'm glad to hear that, but you have also decided to be more involved in this course, apparently, because you are here now, and you're staying past the deadline for office hours. Frederick, the badge without a comment is not very much worth, in my opinion. Ah, that's another good comment. Badges come with metadata. So you get the badge, you get Angel badge, but you can add metadata to this. And this metadata, if you guys are familiar with the word, would add extra contextual information to the badge. So let me give you an example. Frederick awards Claire an Angel badge in this course, or something similar to an Angel badge in this course. And that's not worth very much because Frederick is doing it just by himself. Now, quite a few other students do that, enough that I feel that, yes, I feel myself, with my authority, let's say, that Claire deserves that badge. So I award Claire an Angel badge, but now it's me awarding it, right? It's me telling that Claire is actually an angel for helping others within the context of a course. So I do that, but I also explain exactly what led me to this assessment. So I can say that Claire was awarded an angel badge because she helped 17 students with clarifications over the course of over the massive teaching course that took place between this time and this time. Claire called me a professor. That's fine. You can if you want. I don't mind this either way. Frederick, this is a personal comment. That's okay. Matteo, I don't want to be off topic, but a wise professor once said, "Doesn't matter how many diploma my potential employees have. I check their GitHub and I judge from what they are able to do." Is there a GitHub for not IT profession? Wow, another insightful comment from Matteo. So let me try to rephrase your question, and maybe you should. I encourage you to explore this very much on the forums. Please, please, please post this question on the forums. Well, is there a GitHub for the not IT profession? Well, there is something called the Mozilla Open Backpack, which sort of tries to do that. So the backpack is a system that allows you to package several of your badges and send them to whoever you would like to. The difference with GitHub is that you remain in control which badges you package and which badges you package, yes, and which badges you send. So Matteo, if you're embarrassed when you apply to, let's say, a big bank or wherever, something very serious, that you have gained a specific badge from somewhere, let's say from being an angel in this course, well, you can remove it from the particular backpack that you're sending to that bank. Does that make sense? So you can decide, you have more control than just GitHub. Now, on GitHub, it's not just a place where you show off badges or certificates, right? You show full projects. Now, if you go back to the discussion I had with metadata, I can decide myself as an instructor to include in this badge information about the project you have made. So let's say that you have made a project that is to build a page or something that maybe you host on GitHub, okay? That explains a topic and that lots of students in this course really, really like. They think you explained it very well, okay? That particular topic, and you really understand that particular topic. Then I can offer a badge to you, Matteo, about that particular topic that says that this badge is tied to your performance in this course, where you have submitted a project that you have decided to host on GitHub. Okay, and then whoever is assessing the value of the badge knows that lots of students have decided that this was interesting. I have certified that those lots of students have actually decided this was interesting, and the employer knows they can follow this link to then where they can see this actual project. Okay, so Matteo, again, please post this on the forum because this is a very interesting question. Frederick, I can give you a nomination for a too late badge because you were a bit late today. Now, if that grows into something happening every time, it is office hours, I'll hand it to you at some point. Frederick is just experimenting with a negative badge. Okay, great idea, Frederick. Great idea, especially to experiment. You can hand it to Matteo, but Matteo does not have to hand it out. Okay, so he doesn't have to package it into his backpacks. He can decide to ignore the badge if you want. He remains in control. This is really learner-owned, as I said earlier. Nadira, why do we need a negative badge? I haven't thought carefully about this. My instinct says that we don't need it and it would not work. It would just be ignored. And Frederick, I understand what you're doing, and I encourage you to experiment more with this idea and see where it takes you. I think it might be discouraging to get negative badges, so I think focusing on positive achievements is more helpful and rewarding. Agreed, Nadira. Uh, okay, you guys are experimenting. And Claire, yes, let's talk about how Frederick is excellent with insights. I give him that badge of excellent questions that I would not think to ask and help me understand badges. You guys are getting it. This is exactly the kind of behavior that should be rewarded. Thanks. I feel honored by the badge and the reason why. I agree. Okay, so I think you guys are getting it. Now, here is me. I'll try to explain to you part of the challenge of this of this of this something new. Someone new joined. I'll Matteo too. Welcome back, Matteo too. So I'll explain part of the challenge here. Our interaction right now is happening via Google Hangout on Air and via Mopad. Okay, so it is not happening via Coursera. And on Coursera, there's one coherent, one single database that I can work with to award those badges. Okay, so it means there is no way on a large scale to reward the interactions you're having right now because it's not happening on Coursera itself. Or there's no way of me encouraging thousands of people to join this discussion we're having now and to be helpful with each other, etc. The only interactions I can reward are the ones that are happening on Coursera itself, if you want. And again, as I said earlier, I have to get around some technical difficulties. I'm confident I can get around most of them, but I do have to get around them. So, okay. Yes, Claire, it's all about how to communicate with all technologies. It is, you're very right. Okay, it doesn't seem like it. So the next concrete steps for you guys. Okay, maybe the discussion got so good towards the end that the first concrete step to the five of you who are here is to summarize the discussion that just took place for all your fellow students. Okay, so this is part of being helpful. So you can be a note taker for the other hundreds of students in the course who are heavily involved, and you can summarize this. And this would save me a tremendous amount of time doing it myself. And maybe you do it 5 times. Each of you summarizes a different aspect, or you can have a thread where you start summarizing and adding comments to each other and making sure that it's just a summary, and then this will spin off into separate discussions somewhere else. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step is to build a table. So this is addressed to the 5 students who are here now and the students who managed to catch up with the Hangout later on Hangout by watching Hangout on Air. You can also, of course, participate. Now, for this concrete gamification / personalized badge project, the goal would be to build a table with several different columns and several different rows. The number of columns is not quite clear yet at the moment. It will have at least 2. The number of rows, well, that depends on your involvement, but the way I'm picturing it, it would be 10 to 20 with several different very closely copied badges from each other. So maybe really 5 or 6 different ideas multiplied by 3 or 4, let's say. And it's like the Olympics. Someone made the comparison with the Olympics, right? So you want to design little Olympics within this course, and you can try to be to get a medal into helping others, and you can aim for a gold medal, you can aim for a silver medal, you can aim for a bronze medal if you want, in helping others or in being insightful and things like that. So this is like the first column where it's a description at a human understandable level. And then in the second column, you would have a translation, a concrete translation into behavior within this course. And this has to happen as via a close discussion between people who are more involved on the technical side, and I don't think any of you at this stage are ready to be involved on the technical side, and people who are involved in defining the first column, if you want. So there's still a lot of work in translating those ideas that we've thought about today in terms of technology, but I'm very confident we can make progress there quite quickly. Matteo says, I believe many people will watch the recorded video. Have you statistics for how many people watched the first week of video? Matteo, I have. Can you please ask this question on the forum, because this is a slightly off topic and I don't want to be distracted by fishing out for this information. But you give me a good idea for the next topic in the office hours, where I show you some of the behind the scenes of information I can have access to. All right. So are the next concrete steps clear to all of you? By a lack of response, I would understand that yes, it is. And so this closes the topic on next concrete steps for gamification and editing line 16. And and now we're on point 6, which is about Varia. So Varia is usually at the end of an agenda, is when it's opening up the floor to any other comment or question. So does any of you have comments or questions? Claire, very good question. Where do we see these notes? These notes, which notes? The notes we're taking right now? Okay, so I'll assume that you're asking if it's the notes you're. Yes, Matteo, you're very right. So I see that Matteo knows about Etherpad or has figured that out. Yes, you can export it. You can. That's correct. And so you can. Yes, you can save it for yourself. And then you can, and then we can share that back with the other students. Maybe I do it the first time around, so you can, Frederick, at this point you are defining your goals for us, not asking what our goals are. So what do you mean, Frederick? I'm not asking what your goals are in taking this course. Tyson is asking, should we create a forum post for it? Yes, for summarizing this discussion, yes, you should definitely. So Frederick, please, I'm reading what you're writing. Please clarify. So I'm not asking what your goals are. Is there something you want to clarify? Please do. So I've explained this. Are you referring back to the struggle I've talked about? The struggle between institutions, professors, and the platform? Is that what you're referring to? So I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, Frederick. Please clarify. Please clarify your own position. I'm sure it's a good point you're raising, but I I'm not. Okay, Claire. Don't worry about that aspect first. For right now, Frederick, please either clarify or we'll have to stop now, I guess, because we're reaching the end. Uh, so I've waited for 2-3 minutes already. I'm still not clear what you mean. Okay, let's see what happens. So I understand your last 5 or 6 lines, Frederick. I think I understand. I'm not quite sure. I think you maybe feel a bit forced by me. I've explained my goals a little bit, not fully in detail. And I have not asked you what your goals were and whether they matched with mine. And I am uh, asking you to fulfill my goals. Maybe that's not quite right, but you feel that way. And uh, I'm not asking back for feedback from you guys. And your final line is, let's see what happens. So I think that is a very, very valid point you're making. Um, it's a great, and then you say, don't worry, right now, I will be back. This is a great, I think I'm following your thoughts. I see where you're going, and this is a perfectly valid point you're making. And then you're saying, let's see what happens. Don't worry right now, I'll be back. And please keep thinking about those things and even post about it on the forum. Um, uh, but yes, indeed, I'm asking for some trust from you, I guess. Just see what happens exactly. See where this is going. Um, uh, yes. Don't If you disagree with it, voice your disagreement. If you're still trusting me, then well, still trust me. If you have disagreement, let's discuss it, and we can discuss it on the forums. So, okay, I hope this is satisfactory to you right now, Frederick. Indeed, I'm partly using you guys, students, to further my own agenda. I feel comfortable doing that because I think that once you are better informed about issues around this, you will agree with me. Maybe you will disagree, and then you can just stop. You can just stop at any time. And I'll explain my agenda and explain why it's important in weeks 2 and 3 of the course. Right. This is all has to do with massive teaching, and especially in week 3, I'll talk about business aspects, and the business aspects inform very much what I'm saying. I have an experience as professor. I don't think I've said that anywhere. I've taken a lot of business classes to try to understand exactly business models of different companies providing MOOCs, including Coursera, including others, to really understand business models of those, to really understand the student perspective and all those things. And that's part of what I think I can contribute to the discussion and to inform the struggle that I see in the near future between professors, institutions, and platform providers. So Frederick's last comment is 3 smileys. Okay, great. For the others, maybe this is not quite clear what I mean here, but it will become progressively clearer. I referred earlier to this academic publishing discussion. For those who want to have a preview on this, well, here's a question that will partly be answered in week 3. The question is Coursera a new type of academic publisher? And Uh, this Are they a brand? How are they building a brand? And all those things. And so you'll start to see some answers to this in week 2, and week 3 it will come will more concrete explanations and more controversial things about that. Matteo, it's a part of the pedagogical part of this course. I guess the good thing is that more than 3 persons will see your work. Right. So we're still in the pedagogical part of the course, right? I'm still teaching you about MOOCs. I'm still teaching you about pedagogy of MOOCs and badges. And I do have, as I said, an agenda. As I said early in the course, in the welcome video, in the intro video, I do have an agenda, which is to empower individuals to make decisions. So I'm informing you about pedagogy in this case, and a bit of technology with badges. And the reason I do this is because the more information you have, the more empowered you are. And I have this information already, and I see risks ahead, I see struggles ahead, and I've taken a side, if you want. I've made my mind, and by informing all of you with information I have, by answering your questions and so on, I'm hoping that some of you will reach this same point of view. I'll better understand where my point of view might be weak, because others, like Frederick, will be very insightful and very contribute very good ideas and things that I had not anticipated, like his negative badge, like his comment here now, and so on and so on. And yes, so that's why I'm offering the course. And of course, as part of that, I'm also offering you information. Okay. I understand Matteo's comment now. Uh, so I think Matteo means that the good thing with teaching this MOOC is that more than 3 persons will see my work in preparing it. And Matteo, you're perfectly right. That's why I'm using MOOCs. I'm using this new medium of scientific publishing to share information that I have myself, and to share it on a large scale very fast, and to refine it in the next iteration of the course, and to improve it in the next iteration of the course based on very insightful comments made by Frederick and you and other students. Yes. So just to maybe to maybe uh, to maybe say like a few things, um, like Claire, for instance, her behavior seemed to be an angel. She was helping. So those things are not mutually exclusive, right? So Claire's behavior seemed to be more like an angel. She was helping people a lot just right now. Frederick and Tyson were very insightful, right? So there's no shame. We have different skills, and to be able to reward those specific skills is something probably very good for the future as well, because it will help better assess who's good at what and what needs improvement for each of us. And Matteo, having taken like 100 courses on Coursera, is kind of an authority, and it's a very good person to ask questions like, is there any Coursera course offering badges? So he's a connector, if you want, or a linker. He can link different people together, and in that sense, this is another skill very important. So yes, this is all. This is something I want to share back from my assessment of this current office hours. And Claire says she's a virtual academy instructor, so she needs to be very flexible about how to help students. Indeed. Imagine that scaled up to 100 or whatever number, teaching thousands. It becomes pretty tricky. I would be curious, Claire, to... right, exactly. So Claire says, I need to learn how to communicate to reach them. So Claire, I would be curious to know what you think of Mopad or Etherpad now that you have used it. Maybe you had used it before, but what do you think of it? I really like it. I think once people are trained in it, you can really use it successfully. Matteo, great comment. I just meant that our contribution to your goals will have an unusual spreading respect to the usual peer review that are read by three peers, even if the work is great. Yes, Matteo, that is correct. I call it demultiplying effects. So I just typed it. So if you want, I see MOOCs as demultiplying my power. Usually, as an instructor, I have, as an academic, I have two options essentially to spread a message. The first one is, because of some expertise, to appear on the news for 3 minutes on television, right? This has never happened to me, but this is something that I could imagine happening in my life, is that a few times I would appear on television for 3 minutes to talk about my expertise. And in that case, it's a journalist asking me a question and about maybe a current event. And I would have to answer it and look smart for those 3 minutes in my life. And then that's it. Alternatively, I could teach in my class and maybe have 50 students and teach year after year young students and hope to make an impact when those young students grow up and in 5 years are actually in the workforce, and this might make a difference. I think MOOCs offer dramatically new possibilities in this respect. I can do so many more things with MOOCs that were not possible just a few years ago. You cannot start to imagine how many ideas I have on how to use MOOCs. And part of this course is to show some of the possibilities to the students and show some of the possibilities to my fellow instructors and myself understand the medium better by encouraging you to go in all kinds of directions and see what works and what does not. But I can already reach thousands of students very, very quickly and communicate very up-to-date information. You've seen in the posts, in the messages I'm sharing with you, in the quotes I'm sharing with you, that I'm sharing information that is very, very relevant, that is only a week or 2 weeks old. Quotes from different conferences, papers, articles, and so on that are extremely recent. I had to fight hard with Coursera for this to be possible, but it is possible, and I'm having an impact, I hope, by sharing this very, very topical information with thousands of students and having hundreds of them talk to each other about it. So this is me having much more impact, and I hope I can encourage your own work as students to have so much more impact as well with all of your fellow students. So I hope this is clear. One way I could do this is that if I like your work, I can encourage you to summarize it for your fellow students, and I can post it back. And immediately that reaches really hundreds of students. It really highlights your contribution to this course. It's not hidden in the peer review process anymore, but it's really shown back to all the students. So Claire agrees with me on Mopad, and it's great for notes. Yes, I agree. I've started to conduct meetings with them, as many of them as I can, and I always spend, even like meetings in person, I project my screen with Mopad, and I spend the first 2 or 3 minutes teaching people how to use Mopad rather than running the meeting, whatever the topic is, because it greatly improves meetings. So Frederick says it's soon time to say goodnight, and he's very right. It's, again, insightful. So Nadir thinks he will go as well. Thanks to everyone, and I think Paul also deserves some sleep. Yeah, I'm not quite likely to get some sleep quite yet. But yes, we should stop now, and someone should step up, if not done already, to start summarizing summarizing the office hours. And I see that Matteo already has done that. All right, so I guess we're done. I'll stop the Google Hangout unless someone jumps in with a question. Okay, so I'll count down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I stopped the broadcast. Bye, everyone, and thanks for attending Office Hours. It was absolutely great.